You know, technically in these situations, I would probably say that, yes, I did in fact lie to you. But a small technicality here. Number one, I didn't actually play in the most recent capture event. Your man was sick. But I did play in a previous playtest session, and that was my experience with Edge of Fate. And a lot of these systems we're going to be going over today are systems that I myself have seen firsthand, that I've played with firsthand. But the gameplay that you're seeing in front of you is actually gameplay supplied by Bungie, and also gameplay that our good friend Benny has also supplied, who I highly advise you should check out as he goes into even more depth in a lot of these topics. The point of today's video, though, is to give you a bit of an overview, to talk about what exactly is going to be coming inside of Edge of Fate. And I would argue and say that the changes that are going to be hitting us with Edge of Fate are systematic changes that rivals that of when we got Forsaken. It may not be the biggest in terms of scope in comparison to a Witch Queen or a Final Shape or even a Forsaken or a Taken King. We've been told already that expansion sizes, as we're going to 2 expansions per year, those being Rise of Ironsides, that's why you're going to see the scope a little toned back. However, systematically, this is the largest shift we have ever had inside of Destiny. And I would argue and say that this is what you would see in a sequel. And they're bringing that to us in Edge of Fate. Now, first and foremost, I think we need to start with the most impactful changes of them all. One being Armor 3.0, the other one being Tier 5 loot. In the Edge of Fate, both our weapons and armor have received a much needed refresh to their stats and their perks. Starting with our armor, stats like mobility, recovery, and resilience are now deprecated, and all stats have been replaced, renamed, and given additional benefits, allowing players more intentional build crafting opportunities. Now, these new stats are weapons, health, class, grenade, super, and melee. Now, most of these offer similar benefits our stats did previously, but as you can see here, the new cap for stats is now 200, with enhanced benefits being granted when above 100. Now, as you can see here, once you've exceeded 100 in your stats, you'll be able to see the exact damage increase when you hover over that stat icon. Now, if you're like, whoa, does that weapon stat give you an increase in damage? Why, yes, it does. Not only does it increase your damage in PvE, it also increases your damage, get this, inside of PvP. So no more resilience, but weapon damage can be increased directly. Don't worry, fellas. We're going to be doing lots of testing. Now, each piece of armor focuses on a primary and secondary stat, which determines its affinity. For example, gunner, specialist, etc. Now, these new stats all have an equivalent to the system we have in place now, where you can add a mod to increase that specific stat on a piece of armor by +10 or +5. Now, all of these only cost either 1 or 3, with the number of mods costing 4 for +10. Now, when you acquire a new piece of gear, you don't have to spend materials to upgrade your mod capacity either, as you'll have a mod capacity of 10 when it drops. Additionally, each armor set now comes equipped with a set bonus. We've seen this system before with seasonal armor, but instead of just rep gains, the benefits provided by these bonuses, fellas, they're substantial. Now, we've seen a few set bonuses previously in the Bungie livestream, but as you can see here, the Bushido armor has these bonuses. For the 2-piece, Eida, final blows with freshly drawn or reloaded weapons heal you. Guys, did you just read that? Final blows with freshly drawn or reloaded weapons heal you. Dude, that's literally all the time. For the 4-piece, unfaltering focus, bow, shotgun, or sword final blows temporarily reduce incoming damage. Damaging targets with those weapons extends the effect. This is just one example, and I know for a while now, I have sat down and wondered to myself, how is Bungie going to convince me to part ways with my current sets of armor? Well, this is how you do it, guys. The build crafting benefits are just too good to pass up. And in a world where we have gone through sunsetting before, where we just straight up had things taken from us, this solution is always the better solution, where we ourselves will voluntarily go for those new pieces of gear because they're just that good. Now, Masterworking now grants +1 to each of the 3 lowest stats that are present on your armor. Now, both weapons and armor are going to have gear tiers, and these max out at tier 5. And I know some people have been like, Cross, this is kind of giving giving me mobile vibes. I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, it's the simplicity of it, right? And what you're gonna notice throughout this entire video is that yes, Bungie is adding a lot of depth in so many different categories. They're also just trying to make the game more approachable. And that circle backs to simplifying how we view gear in the game and which items you should be coveting. Now, armor at tier 5 will have a mod capacity of 11. Tuning mods that allow you to adjust stats similar to Artifice armor and increase overall stats. Now, tier 5 weapons will enhance every column, including the origin traits. It will also increase stats, allowing you to apply enhanced versions of weapon mods. It will even have a unique animated shader and the option for custom kill effects. Now, weapons also have ammo generation as a stat now. When you equip 2 primary weapons, only the heavy generation bar will be present in the UI at the bottom left hand of your screen. But you heard that right, guys. We actually have a stat that will be tied to our ammo generation. No longer is it just this invisible counter nowhere present on our UI, with the number of runs being ruined by RNG. Now listen, we can go on for days, and trust me, there's going to be so many different resources dropping this week, diving into every aspect of the new gear. Benny has actually put together a very detailed breakdown of how the new tier loot system will work, and we'll have that link down below in the description. The point on this front, guys, is that this is a huge systematic change inside of Destiny, the kind of change that you would actually see in a sequel. And to me, guys, this is as impactful as Forsaken was when we finally got special weapons back, with the fluidity to use weapons in whatever slot. The way you're going to look at armor, the way you're going to go after gear, the way you're going to assess what god rolls are now are going to change, in my opinion, for the better, especially for players either returning back to Destiny or getting into it for the first time. Which actually takes us to one of the other big changes coming in Edge of Fates, and that's the portal. This one has been a bit more controversial, and I get it. Some of you have been playing Destiny the way you've been playing it for years, where you have your destination screen, you choose where you want to go. But the portal, although yes, is going to be something even us veteran players will take advantage of, its main focus is to get all players, especially new players and returning players, into the content. Guys, raise your hand if you have been like, dude, where's that dungeon again? Or wait, where's that activity? Because just last season it was here and now it's there. Look, I know as veteran players, we understand Destiny, but we can't say that the system is perfect right now. And I'm not saying that the portal is going to be perfect here, but I do think players are going to benefit greatly from this new portal menu. Bungie has made it very easy to immediately select an activity, as well as view your potential rewards, evaluate the time commitments, and then just simply dive in. Solo players especially will have a dedicated solo ops playlist, which will be easily accessible. You don't have to go searching for feature lost sectors anymore. It's all right there. Fireteam ops are sorted by their difficulty level. Matchmaking for most of these playlists is already on. To me, there's too many benefits with the portal to just throw it out. And keep in mind, for my veteran players, you don't have to use this. You can literally tab over and jump into whatever you want to jump into and never even have to look at the portal. In my opinion, though, this is going to be one of the greatest resources for new and returning players to just get them into the content without losing them before you even get there. Now, all of this sounds good and all from the quality of life perspective, but what about that new destination? Guys, the new destination for Edge of Fate is Kepler, the new planetoid located at the edge of our current solar system. Now, unfortunately, I'm not allowed to show you the map. However, we do have some footage of the destination playing in the background. Now, while exploring these locations, you'll primarily be facing off against the Fallen House of Exile and the Vex. Now, the Fallen have a new flying unit called Corsairs. When you shoot them down, their jetpacks have a chance to go haywire, flying pretty much every which way before exploding. Now, you'll come across Fallen Wretches, captains with strand and stasis shields, which is attached to their weaponry that after taking a small amount of damage will break. There's also a Fallen Captain that could suspend you, just like a subjugator. And one thing that was very surprising to me was the sheer number of areas of Kepler that require the use of our dark matter abilities to unlock. Dark matter is going to play a huge role in your ability to solve puzzles, as well as unlocking paths forward that we previously could not. With this, we are gaining access to 3 new abilities, which were described by Bungie as an expression of our subclass powers and dark matter. Now, the first ability we have is Matter Spark, where you basically turn into an arc lightning ball. This will allow you to fit into tight spaces or roll into enemies, and you can stay in this form for 45 seconds, which you can see by this timer on the left-hand side. Now, if you're in a tight space and the timer hits 0, get this. you die. LOL? I actually think that's a funny feature. Now, you can attack enemies with the lightning bolts, and you can also use those same attacks to charge these pylons. Now, as you roll around, you'll build up a charge meter, and when you reach max charge, you'll be able to release a shockwave that will jolt enemies. However, keep in mind, this is an upgrade that you receive via progression, so the functionality of each of these may be limited at first, and at least from my play experience, it was. And there was a noticeable difference when you got your Matter Spark fully amped up. Now, there's also something called the Relocator Cannon, which is pretty much like a weapon pickup similar to a Scorch Cannon, but it's used to bypass laser arrays. Early on, you can upgrade it to Relocator 2, which gives the projectiles the ability to ricochet off nodes to reach the final teleport pad, as you can see here. Now, the Relocator Cannon also has some offensive capabilities. When you shoot at enemies, they explode into void projectiles, which look identical to the ones from Graviton Lance. Now, lastly, we have the Matter Morph, which, get this, is Strand combined with Dark Matter. This is activated by interacting with these bulbs that can be found around the world, and this will replace your melee ability. Now, this allows us to manipulate the environment in different ways, opening up new paths or revealing hidden secrets. This, like the previous two abilities, also has some offensive capabilities, as they can be thrown at enemies like Strand Shurikens. Now, all three of these abilities can and will be used in conjunction with one another. You may need to use Mattermorph to raise a platform, to then get access to a plate that needs to be shot with the Relocator Cannon, or you can use Mattermorph to make a bridge that you can then cross with Matter Spark. So you can see that these abilities are going to be a central focus to the gameplay experience on Kepler. Now, I do want to say there is no new subclass. These new abilities are all we've got. Now, if there are more Dark Matter abilities aligned with our Solar and Stasis subclass, we weren't shown them. So if they do exist, it is possible Bungie is keeping them close to their chests and potentially even locking them behind the day one raid. Now, keep in mind, in the past, guys, this is normally the case. We would normally skip a year. Final Shape kind of threw everything out of whack because we got Prismatic. The focus for Edge of Fate, though, and the reason why I don't think we're getting a new subclass is because Bungie wants to incorporate a different way in which we explore the world. You know, when we sat down with Bungie a while back, one of the biggest topics of discussion was that exploration had not been a focus for Destiny in a very long time. We would get an expansion, we would play the new destination, and then most of us would never even return to that destination. Many of us never had to do anything to unlock that destination outside of playing the campaign. Bungie's taken a different approach with these Dark Matter abilities, using them as a pivotal piece to unlock Kepler. These abilities are going to be the key to a lock that only exists on Kepler, and without the lock, the key is essentially useless. I don't know if we're ever going to see a day where we have Matter Spark in the Crucible, or if we ever have like a Dark Matter subclass. But I will say, with my time playing, Bungie's biggest focus is how do we give the Destiny community a world that they want to get lost in and explore. It's a different take, guys, but if there was ever a point that Bungie should be bold and experimental, I think there's no better time to do it than right now with the Edge of Fate. Some of you are probably going to hate this. I'm just going to point that out. Like, some of you are going to be like, Cross, I just want to go in there, I want to shoot bad guys, now I got to stop and use my brain. Brother, I feel for you. Trust me. I can't tell you how many times I was doing some of these puzzles and I just felt like an idiot. But then you get that level of satisfaction when you figure it out and you continue to unlock more portions of the map. It's the reason why many of us get lost in RPGs, especially RPGs with Fog of War. We start from one end of the map to the other and we discover every nook and cranny all the way through. And then we look back with satisfaction knowing that we discovered everything. And that's something that Bungie's really trying to land here with Kepler and these Dark Matter abilities that are tied to this location. The new artifact arriving with Edge of Fate is called the Implement of Curiosity. Its focus is going to be around Stasis, Strand, and Solar mods. You've got options like Frost Renewal, where while you have Frost Armor, taking critical damage releases a burst that freezes nearby combatants and grants Frost Armor to you and nearby allies. You've got Tangle Web, which is going to beautifully synergize with some of our exotics, especially the newest one. We're creating a Tangle by defeating a Strand debuff target, suspends nearby combatants. We have Elemental Coalescence, where defeating targets has the chance to create an elemental pickup matching your equipped super elements. Don't worry, guys, these are just some examples. We'll have a full video going over artifact mods and even build recommendations going into Edge of Fate. But these are kind of the theme that we're going into with our artifacts for Edge of Fate. Now, where do we go from here? As you could probably already tell, we're not allowed to discuss many story details, but I did want to share with you this crazy moment at the end of the campaign where Saint 14 and Osiris had an straight up. There was so many working parts. Everybody was getting jiggy in the tower. I don't know. There was one over here, another one over here, and I don't even know, man. They were just working them back and forth. Needless to say, guys, it's going to be wild. Now, one thing is clear. Edge of Fate is designed to tee up this next saga of Destiny. And there is going to be a big focus on what's going to be rolling out, not just when the expansion comes, but with the conclusion of the campaign and especially the raid. And as it is with every single Destiny expansion, I would expect to have more questions than answers. The goal of this is to suck us in for the next several years. Over the next few months, Bungie will be delving into all of the new systems arriving in Edge of Fate in great detail. That includes TWABs, blog posts, and even streams. We'll be tuning into all of them, so if you want to keep up with everything arriving on July the 15th, make sure you stick around as we'll be covering literally everything. What I will say is that the 9 as an entity has been one of the most mysterious in all of Destiny, and I think the tone for this narrative is going to show its teeth very soon, as it really does feel like Destiny is growing with us. Who knows? Maybe it's just me, perhaps it's Allison in our Baldur's Gate background leading the charge narratively. Whatever it is, I think we're all in for a treat. Here very soon, we'll be posting our video going over all the new exotics, and as soon as that is up, we'll have it linked above in the top right-hand corner in one of the cards, as well as in the description below. Well, fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.
Yeah.